This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Over 2 million men worldwide choose Manscaped for all their below-the-waist needs. For those that love the Lawnmower 3.0, well, I got news for you. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all through additional guards lengths, sizes 1 through 4. And looks-wise, it's sleek with a two-tone matte and gloss finish, even features a hot foil stamp, black chrome Manscaped logo. Show your mower off loud and proud. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code State of Saints, and you will save 20% off of the Lawnmower 4.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And yes, once again, I am not behind the camera, rather. Last show, I did not have my webcam. And today, at the radio station, I don't have my webcam again. But I like the quality of the last show as far as the audio, so I decided to, do it again. And I want to say to everybody, I really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about some NFL news as well, because we're going live on the State of the Game podcast as well also, man. So we're not only going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints and these roster cuts. For those that are checking out the State of the Game podcast that is available on YouTube as well as Facebook, we're going to be talking about Jon Gruden as well. Okay, so I know some people may not want to hear about Jon Gruden, those that came here to talk about some Saints news, but we have to cover all avenues, man. So first, I want to just talk a little bit about some of the roster cuts that the New Orleans Saints have made. Some of you probably already heard about some of these guys. Desmond Trufant was cut by the New Orleans Saints. You have a few more guys that were cut. Brian Poole decided to go with an injury settlement with the New Orleans Saints. And I think this is because the New Orleans Saints are trying to make some moves. We know that they got some key players coming back to the team. And I think the New Orleans Saints are just trying to make some room. And especially, I think Ken Crawley is most likely going to be coming back really soon. So they don't feel like there was a need to keep Desmond Trufant. And if you were following Ken Crawley throughout training camp, you know that he did a really outstanding job in training camp. And he was playing so well that the New Orleans Saints most likely were going to put him opposite of Marshawn Lattimore. So this is what we've been wanting for quite some time, Who Dat Nation, the reinforcements for the New Orleans Saints. And we know that the New Orleans Saints been trying to keep their head above water, so to speak, with the guys that they actually have on the field, because they were, they had a lot of key guys that were out. These guys were injured, and these guys were very key to the success of the New Orleans Saints. Now, as the weeks progress, we're going to see some of these guys come back, and it's going to be much better as we hoped. Like they say, help is on the way. We hope that these guys can actually, do some things. Also, Christian Ringo was signed back to the Saints 53-man roster. He's had a few games that he was a part of this season. The Saints decided to sign him back. The Saints also signed Brian Johnson to the 53-man roster. As you know, that Cody Parkey was absolute hot garbage and an embarrassment to kickers everywhere when he signed with the New Orleans Saints and he got opportunity to kick. Guy couldn't hit the back of a barn door. So the Saints decided to cut him, justifiably so, and sign Brian Johnson to the roster. Look, I know a lot of people are upset and people are frustrated, but I have to be honest with you, Who Dat Nation. I understand that we want Will Lutz back, but I'd rather have Will Lutz 100%. We know that he can go out there and he can perform at a high level. I don't want to see him trying to rush back because we're not satisfied with the kickers. We're going to need Will Lutz in crucial situations down the line. We know that Will Lutz has kicked the Saints into victory a few times, and I want to make sure that he's 100% healthy as a fan. I want to make sure that he's 100% healthy, not because they have some hot garbage that has been kicking for the New Orleans Saints over the last couple of weeks. And those guys, there's a reason why those guys were on the street. I think we have to understand that. If those guys were, beneficial, they can make a difference, they would be on somebody else's roster. That's just the way that it works with that nation. You don't have great or elite kickers or elite position guys that are on the street as of right now. If they were, they would be on somebody's team, and that's just the way that it goes. But the Saints are trying to, they signed another kicker, and hopefully that this guy can actually do some things and keep the Saints afloat. As long as Will Lutz is out. So I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. But help is indeed on the way to the 53-man roster. The Saints are going to be getting some key guys back. They're going to be getting Michael Thomas back. They're going to be getting Traquan Smith back. They're going to be getting Eric McCoy back, Teron Armstead, Marcus Davenport, Quan Alexander. These are some very key players that the Saints are going to be getting back in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully these can be the guys that the Saints actually need in order for them to really try to make a run at this, because the games are going to get harder and harder. What a lot of people don't understand is the Saints are playing for a first place schedule. Even though Tampa won the Super Bowl, Tampa did not win the division last season. And when you win the division, the following year, you have to play all the division champions. And the Saints have to play some really tough games, man, and some really, really good football teams right now that are playing lights out. I mean, teams like the Cowboys, teams like the Buffalo Bills. These are some teams that the Saints are really going to have to bring their A game in order for them to beat. And they're going to need all hands on deck. And I think that, the fact that the Saints go into this bye week 3-2 is a testament to how good this coaching staff actually is. I know we give these guys a hard time, but I guarantee you, like some of these coaching staffs that you have around the NFL, with the roster that the Saints have, it'll be hard for them to be above 500 going into a bye week. So I have to give credit where credit is due. The coaching staff of the New Orleans Saints are doing an outstanding job. They leave a lot to be desired. I'm not going to lie about that. But for the most part, to put the right nucleus of players on the field in order for you to get a victory, and they have not been the sexiest victory. So I don't think we've had a really good decisive victory since week 1 versus the Green Bay Packers. But look, nobody cares how you win a game. Okay, the only thing that matters is that you win. Okay, nobody gets extra points for style points. Okay, the days of the BCS is over, right? When for those college football fans out there, when the BCS used to get style points, and when a computer comes out around week 8 or week 9, they put that into consideration. You don't have that anymore. Okay, there's no style points in the National Football League. There's winners and there's losers, and the Saints have won 3 out of the 5 games that they played, and that's the best thing that you can possibly do. Okay, so those guys are going to be coming back at a really good time, and I'm happy about that. Also, the Saints have gotten some guys that got some recognition from this past game. You have Marshawn Lattimore, who was awarded the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Congratulations to Marshawn Lattimore, who had 6 pass deflections on last week. He did a really outstanding job, and he's definitely emerging as being one of those guys that is a top corner in the National Football League. It definitely feels like and seems like Marshawn Lattimore is really playing motivated. I don't know if it's Chris Richard or is it just the fact that he wants to solidify himself as being one of the best corners in the league. But whatever it is, I'm glad that it's coming together for Marshawn Lattimore, and he's doing an outstanding job. So he is NFC Defensive Player of the Week. I thought I would see Blake Gillikin as the Special Teams Player of the Week, especially since he had one of the best kicking days I've seen out of a punter in a very long time, but it didn't happen. I don't know why he wasn't considered or he didn't even win, but that's just the way the NFL works sometimes, right? Punters don't get the respect that they deserve, but this guy really was a key component to the Saints actually winning this game. And honestly, I don't think the Saints would have won if it wasn't for some of these punts that Blake Gillikin actually kicked. So the NFL, they have to do a better job at trying to find out about some of these players that they're actually awarding these particular awards. Sometimes I feel like favoritism, plays a huge role. I mean, meaning that so many eyes are on one particular game. And I don't think a lot of these, people that do these awards do their due diligence, because if they did, there's no way in hell Blake Gillikin wouldn't have been Special Teams Player of the Week. But nevertheless, we still have a New Orleans Saints that was recognized in Marshawn Lattimore. We value Blake Gillikin, and we know what he meant to that game versus the football team on last week. So congratulations to Blake Gillikin. He definitely is a player. He was the player of the game to me, and he's definitely a valuable asset to the New Orleans Saints, and he's definitely on a trajectory to be an all-pro. If he's not, then we really have a problem with the National Football League, and I think we can go ahead and call it for what it is, which is extremely biased. If that guy's name isn't recognized the way that he's kicking right now, I don't think any other punter is kicking better than Blake Gillikin right now. So, I mean, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Look, NFC special team, I mean, I'm pretty sure, he'd rather be a first team All-Pro than, just winning an award for the week. R. Kelly, thank you very much for the $2. Says, thank you, Gruden. Now guys ain't thinking about me. I think that and Urban Meyer. I think that both of those guys are thanking John Gruden at this particular time. But who we released from the Saints, Brian Poole, Desmond Trufant was also one of those guys that they actually released. And, a linebacker he was on the practice squad. They also released him. Winston McManus. Okay, so Winston McManus has been on and off the practice squad for quite some time. So not a surprise to me. I mean, he's a guy that I feel like he's probably going to be starting on somebody's team next year or being a part of somebody's squad on next year. He did a really good job in preseason, but I just think that the Saints linebacking group is just too packed. And I just think he kind of got lost in the shuffle. Jamaica says, are we going to discuss John Gruden? I know this is not Saints, but need to be discussed, please, and thank you. Jamaica, yeah. Actually, we're going live here on the State of the Game as well as the State of the Saints. So we're going to be covering all of that, okay? So for those that are listening and checking this out on the State of the Game, feel free to ask me NFL questions, any NFL questions that you may have. And also if you're a Saints fan, you want to hear Saints news, feel free to ask me anything about the New Orleans Saints as well. Okay. Let me see. Desmond Trufant and Poole. All right. Yeah. Trufant and Poole and Parkey. Yeah. So I guess I reached a point where people were saying, talking about the cuts here. Stroll down a little bit, says, I really believe Chris Richard is responsible for the DBs being better, way better than last year, first 5 games. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I have such respect for Chris Richard. Chris Richard is such an incredible coach, and it's just a shock to me how this guy never has gotten a head coaching opportunity. I mean, I think that is coming. He's such a underrated coach, and he's one of those guys that fly under the radar because I always say that he reminds me of a really good assistant manager, a guy who knows, what the store manager needs to do, and he does his job as the assistant manager. And being a good assistant manager, sometimes you get lost in the shuffle because when a district manager comes into the store manager gets all the credit because he's the guy leading the team, so to speak. And the assistant manager may be the one that's running the store while the store manager's sitting around and talking to everybody and not really lifting a finger. That is what I see when it comes to Chris Richard. I think Rod Marinelli got all the credit for, being a defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys a couple of years when Jalen Smith and Lathan Vander Esch was doing a really good job and the secondary was playing above average. A lot of people weren't paying attention to Chris Richard. They were paying more attention to Rod Marinelli. This is one of those situations too. Now he is a secondary coach, but Dennis Allen is getting all the credit for, the Saints having a formidable defense, which if you're a Saints fan, you know that there's a difference in this secondary. A lot of the things that we looked at last season, okay, as far as like those guys not generating turnovers, not getting their head turned around. And now it just so happens that Chris Richard is a part of the Saints staff, and now the Saints are second in the league in turnovers. Somebody explain that to me. Okay, the Cowboys have 10, the Saints have 9. I mean, what's the one common denominator here? Okay, it's Chris Richard. So anybody that just believes that, oh man, the Saints, the chemistry and those guys coming together, it finally meshed. Yeah, that is true, but you have to give credit where credit is due. You didn't see that type of production from the secondary until Chris Richard put on a Saints shirt. And I think people need to get his man some credit and put some respect on his name. That part, TJ. But for me, I need to see what our offense scheme is going to be. We are not seeing enough good drives in sequence to say. Jamaica, I definitely agree with that. I don't feel like just because we got some guys coming back, all the problems are going to go away. I fail to believe that. This is one of those situations where I have to see it in order for me to believe it as well. I think that we have grown accustomed to believing that when Michael Thomas and Traquan Smith come back, all of the problems of the New Orleans Saints offense will go away. But there are some issues with this team offensively. For example, them being able to sustain drives. For example, when Jameis Winston had opportunity to run, but he decided when he was out of the pocket, he had opportunity to get a first down. He threw the ball to Chris Hogan, and it was incomplete. All right. So, it's different things like that. It's the little things that keep those drives going to allow the defense to stay on the sidelines a little bit longer. If you're not sustaining drives, no matter how good your defense is, you're going to wear them down. And the Saints, luckily, that is why we go back to the Blake Gillikin punting. They're lucky that a lot of those drives that the football team had, they started at the 1, they started at the 3, they started at the 5. They were lucky. Okay. You're not going to have those type of situations all the time. This is one of those situations where manna rained down from heaven, so to speak, for the New Orleans Saints. All the stars were aligned, but you're not going to have opportunities like that all the time. You're going to have to be able to sustain drives. Now, you can say that Michael Thomas will come back. He'll demand a double team that will move over Marquez Callaway to probably that second or that third receiver spot where he probably can win his matchup. But all this has to be proven, okay? It has to be proven. You can say that things are going to get better. I would like to believe that because Michael Thomas is an elite receiver, but I have to see it come all together, okay? If it does, it's hard for me to say that all the problems are going to go away if I haven't seen it yet. Jared says, I'm surprised that they lost to the Giants. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Jerry also says, welcome, Jared. Yeah, man, look, I'm surprised that they actually lost to the Giants as well. I don't even want to call that a trap game because it wasn't. The Giants played inspired football. They did all the right things in order for them to win the game. And the Saints did all the things that they can possibly do in order to lose the game. It was some bad coaching in that game. It was some bad decision-making in that game. It was a lack of trust for Jameis Winston, in my opinion, in that game. It was too much Taysom Hill for me in that game. There was so many different things in that game that transpired that the Saints pretty much gift wrapped that game to the New York Football Giants. And I know that people are, seem like they're, they say that people are afraid to criticize Sean Payton, but not here. Okay. I don't know what nobody else is doing, and I'm not here to criticize anybody. But Sean Payton is responsible for the reason why the Saints didn't win that game versus the Giants. It was some sorry, pathetic play calling in that game right there. He overthinked himself. And I've seen a lot of the situations that plagued itself during postseason time with the New Orleans Saints. It happened in that game. That is one of the main reasons why I feel like the Saints end up losing some of these crucial games in the postseason, because the play calling becomes way, I mean, just, man, they just do way too much. Okay. The play calling is just way over the top and totally unnecessary. Look, sometimes you have to trust those players, right? You don't have to trick your opponent. You ain't got to be doing no triple reverses or no fleet flickers. If you feel like you got a really good offensive line, you feel like you have one of the best running backs in football, you feel like you have the best wide receiver in football, then it needs to be mano a mano. It reminds me of, that Monday Night Football game last year versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, luckily for the Saints, they ended up winning this football game, but there was one play. Everybody in the stadium knew that Justin Herbert was going to throw this ball to Mike Williams, right? It was best on best. Everybody knew this, and yet he still did it, okay? Sometimes you have to be Captain Obvious, and sometimes I feel like the Saints don't try to be Captain Obvious, and that is their Achilles heel. That's the reason I feel like they lost to the Giants. So if they continue to do, asinine things like that, they're going to lose football games. It's just plain and simple, okay? The NFL is hard enough to beat an opponent. You don't need that opponent to let that opponent off the hook by beating yourself, Anybody can beat anybody regardless of record. Yeah, I agree with that. But sometimes teams do a really good job of beating themselves as well. Now I see why we put Gillikin on IR last year. He's a weapon last week. Yeah, he definitely was, man. I mean, it's just one of those situations, man, where the Saints always seem, when it comes to kicking special team players, they always have a guy that they kind of hide out, and when it came to the kickers, it seemed like the Saints always have like this kicker internship program. When, for example, when Garrett Hartley was kicking bad, the Saints signed John Carney to be his kicking consultant, or they'll have John Carney kicking field goal. Like it was always, the Saints are always, having these guys under this apprenticeship, this internship program when it comes to the kickers. So the Saints are really, they do their due diligence when it comes to special teams. So I give them credit on that. No doubt about that. We all knew Chris Richard is the real deal. Dallas, Jerry did him dirty. Well, that just goes to show you right there, that, some guys don't like guys with, a certain level of confidence. I just feel like Chris Richard, his personality is a dominant personality, and he's an acquired taste. Like some owners, they want to be the center of attention so much that they try to get those guys that have that quiet demeanor, the guy that's not going to ruffle any feathers, the guy that's not going to outshine them. That's the issue when it comes to Jerry Jones. When it comes to Chris Richard is such a positive guy. He's such a alpha male type guy that I feel like in a organization like the Cowboys, he wouldn't be a good fit. It's kind of like with Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson back in the day. Jimmy Johnson did not want to be a yes man. Okay. And I just feel like Chris Richard is not a yes man. Okay. And I feel like that's one of the main reasons why he ended up leaving the Cowboys. And look, man, Rob Marinelli, no disrespect to him, but I mean, I just find it ironic that when Chris Richard started to become the quote unquote assistant defensive coordinator, the defense got better. Sometimes, like I said, those assistant managers make those store managers look good. Slim South says, has anybody been noticing that the play of P. Warner, solid linebacker? Oh, absolutely. I think everybody has seen P. Warner. Some people are comparing him to Luke Kuechly. I would say pump your brakes on that. I think that we try to find, always try to find somebody that what we're looking at reminds us of. Okay, Luke Kuechly was a special linebacker, and he did it over an extended amount of time. Right? I think that we have to be careful not being prisoners of the moment. Some of us become prisoners of the moment because a guy may have one or two good games, and then all of a sudden we start crowning him. Let a guy be able to develop and create a lane for himself, and then we can start doing a comparison. But as of right now, what we see is a young rookie who's played in his third game, and he seems like he is a tackling machine, and he also seems like he does a pretty good job in coverage. But allow him to develop as a player, and I'm pretty sure if he's playing like this right now, if he stays healthy, then the sky's the limit for him. But let's allow him to get to that point before we start comparing him to other guys. I mean, that's just my opinion. Feel free to do what you want, but in my opinion, I just think that we don't need to put that type of extended pressure on somebody, and especially since we haven't seen them do it, for an extended amount of time. Kelso says, what do you make of the receivers so far? Do we need to make moves, or Mike T and Traquan coming back fine? I don't know if the Saints are going to be able to make any moves. I don't think that the Saints are going to be making any moves at the wide receiver position. I've said this on several occasions here on the State of the Saints podcast, that the New Orleans Saints offensive play scheme is not one of those offensive playbooks that you can just automatically come off the street and be able to make some noise. I just don't. I think that off-season activities, OTAs, minicamp, training camp, you have to be embedded inside of the system from the jump in order for you to really make some noise. I just think that's one of the main reasons why when guys get signed in the middle of the year, we don't see them. I know y'all remember when, Brandon Marshall was here, right? And we were like, man, when Brandon Marshall going to come? When Brandon Marshall going to come? And it never happened. Okay. It never showed itself, because I think that the way that the Saints are constructed offensively, you have to be able to be there in order to develop the offensive concept. I think that some teams you will be able to bring a guy in and that guy will be able to make some noise immediately because the way the offensive playbook is constructed. But with the Saints, you hear players talk about it all the time. I can remember last year, Emmanuel Sanders said that you think about some of the rotations on the teams he's been a part of. He's been a part of Pittsburgh. He's been a part of Denver and San Francisco. He said you'll see maybe 6 or 7 different, personnel groups. He said the Saints do 14, 15 personnel groups. And with all of those personnel groups, you have to know where you're supposed to be at on the field, where you're supposed to be lined up, what route you need to run. So I don't think that this is an easy fix where a guy can just come in and automatically just give you the production that you're looking for. It's going to have to take some time. So I think that when Traquan comes back, who's familiar with the playbook, Mike T, who's familiar with the playbook, you got Callaway, and you also got Harris, who's familiar with the playbook. I think that you'll see a little bit more offensive production. But I don't think that finding a guy on the street via trade, via free agent signing, it is going to be able to solve the problem that the New Orleans Saints have at the wide receiver position. The Saints are going to have to roll with who they got, and hopefully this can get you to the postseason. And next year, maybe in the NFL draft, you draft yourself a young wide receiver, a guy that you can bring in to rookie mini camp, OTAs, training camp, and then you'll probably see somebody that can be opposite of Mike Thomas that can give you the type of production that we seek as Saints fans. But as for right now, I don't think that you're going to get that from just any guy on the street. It's just not going to work that way. The offensive playbook of the New Orleans Saints is just too complex. Keen Arthur says, TJ, last I checked, Jameis has the best touchdown to interception ratio, 12-3 in the league. Why do people think he's playing poorly? Anything to keep a narrative going. Look, this is just what's the reality, Keen Arthur. People have developed this narrative that if a guy isn't throwing for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns each game, then that means that they are not being productive, right? That's what they tell you, because what they'll tell you is guys like Aaron Rodgers, who will throw for 3 touchdowns, they have 300 plus yards. Guys like Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and all those guys. And they look at those particular individuals as being the key component to the success of their team. And guys like Jameis Winston, who, throwing for 4 touchdowns, but it's 220 yards. That's not good enough, right? They demean those type of stats. But here's the reality. When you look at legendary quarterbacks like a Steve Young, like a Troy Aikman, do you realize that these guys weren't throwing for 300 plus yards a game, right? They weren't. But those guys are mentioned as some of the best quarterbacks of all time. When you had a potent running game, right, and you threw the ball when necessary, you get the ball where it needs to be, then, you would get that type of respect. But it's not like that anymore because the quarterback position has become like this almost like this celebrity type, position, right? I mean, you got A-list celebrities, which is the Aaron Rodgers and the Patrick Mahomes. Then you got the B celebrities like the Dak Prescotts, you know what I'm saying? And then you got the C's probably will fall, with Jameis Winston, right? Get in where you fit in. This is the reality, man. Nobody cares about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like in the Saints, among Saints fans, me personally, I don't. Okay. Everybody that I talk to is like, okay, the man is playing really well. That's what we need to be looking at. The 12 touchdowns and the 3 interceptions is what we need to be looking at. It's not about how many times that you throw the football. Okay. It's about where you're throwing the football. Are you sustaining drives? Are you helping your team win football games? Are you helping your team, live up to their full potential? And I say yes, because if you look at these quarterbacks, okay, with these high numbers that fall into that category with Jameis Winston, all right, you look at Patrick Mahomes, everybody talks about. He has Hartman, he has Tyreek Hill, he has Kelsey, he has Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He has all these different weapons that he can choose from to throw the football to. Somebody please tell me. Somebody please tell me who is Jameis Winston throwing the ball to? He's throwing it to a bunch of undrafted free agents. And to be quite honest with you, he's throwing it to guys who he is making better than what they actually are. None of these guys, if they leave the New Orleans Saints, would be a number one receiver. Hartman, if he was to leave the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe that he can be a number one receiver. If Tyreek Hill leaves, he's definitely going to be a number one receiver. Kelsey, as a tight end, he can be a number one receiver. None of these guys that are on the Saints wide receiver group as of right now who has been playing is ever going to be a number one receiver on anybody's team. But yet Jameis is doing what he can with them. And also the red zone, the Saints are number one in red zone efficiency. Really, number one in the NFL in red zone touchdowns and conversion. So all these different things that Jameis is doing, people aren't paying that much attention to because, like you said, Keen Arthur, the narrative is that he is he's a turnover machine, right? And if he's not generating turnovers, of course, nobody wants to talk about that, especially if you fell into that category of always calling him a turnover machine. Or you went on record and saying that he's not a good quarterback. Or you went on record and saying that, the Saints aren't going to be talked about because Jameis Winston is their quarterback. So, of course, they're going to try to backtrack or ignore that particular fact. Because when it comes to, mainstream media, these guys' credibility is everything they feel like they have. So if they're giving bad takes, they're going to try to remove themselves away from that as quickly as possible. Because, if somebody, hears this and they keep on, saying the same thing over and over again, and Jameis is proving it to be untrue, people are not going to listen to them at all. So they're going to backtrack from that. That's just the way that it goes, man. You got a lot of people throw the brick and hide their hand in the national media. And it's never going to, it's not going to change, man. It's not going to change. You got these individuals out here, I'm pretty sure right now, their social media team is probably deleting some of the things that they actually say so it won't see the light of day in order to help them gain their credibility. But I keep all those receipts. Sean needs to respect Winston as a man and stop screaming at him will kill his confidence. Look, Marvin, I definitely disagree with that. I disagree that it's going to kill his confidence because here's the reality. Jameis Winston has been called Mr. 30 for 30 for the last 2.5 years, right? People have been calling him the poster boy for suck, so to speak. I'm not, I'm not saying this. This is what people are insinuating about this man. They're saying that he was a bust. They're saying that Tampa didn't want him. They're saying that, he's a laughing stock. So if all of these things that have been said about him, I think that him, getting, fussed at on the sidelines, I just think that that's just small potatoes, okay? If this guy had an issue with his confidence, the things that would be said about him as a quarterback and as a player in the National Football League, I would have to say some of the things that were said about him would cause any man, any human being to crack under pressure. So the fact that he hasn't cracked under pressure is a testament to who he is as a human being, as an athlete, and as a football player. So I don't think a few words from Sean Payton is going to mess up this guy's confidence at all. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure he'll probably just have Sean Payton, critiquing him on the sidelines more so than somebody telling him that he's never going to live up to his potential. Tragic says a certain DB by the name of PJ Williams only played one snap against the Giants, and David Jones wound up looking like a superstar. Well, I guess we reached a part of the show where, the people that we've called sorry and pathetic for the last couple of years are the reasons why the Saints are not being successful. When we're talking about PJ Williams being on the field and Marcus Davenport, two guys that we've all criticized, and now all of a sudden, like, they are the key piece to keeping the team together. My goodness, how things have changed. But anyway, I think PJ Williams is doing an outstanding job. People talk about PJ, and we talked about him for years, and I definitely been talking about him. But at the end of the day, I think the way that the Saints are using him right now, it has resurrected his career. Okay, I mean, he even got an interception this past week. As a matter of fact, he's had 2 interceptions this season. One of them he should have returned for a touchdown until he tripped over his own feet. So I think the way that the Saints use him as like a safety / nickel, I think that it really helps PJ Williams. So I don't know why he wasn't on the field. I don't know if it was an injury issue, but he's definitely one of those guys that the Saints can count on, and I think he's one of the best tacklers in their secondary. The media coverage of Jameis Winston has been so egregious that it's disgusting at this point to me. Well, look, let him talk, okay? Let him talk. And, it is what it is, man. Like, people are going to always have something to say about guys. They're always going to have something to say, when it comes to a first overall pick, especially a guy they feel like, went to an organization, and he didn't do, he didn't lead that organization to the promised land. Here's the reality. We know that Jameis Winston went to a bad organization. The reason why, people are trying to use this as a narrative is because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl last year. So they're saying, oh, well, it was Jameis' fault the whole time. No, okay? If you're a moron, you'll probably believe that. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. If you're sitting behind your computer desk or you're sitting in front of your television screen and you're looking at this stuff and you're like, oh, yeah, it's his fault, then you're a moron. I'm just being honest with you. We all know that Tampa, for the exception of last season, did not see the playoffs since I was a junior in college at Jackson State University. For those that may not know, that was 2007, okay? If you haven't been to the playoffs in almost 13 years as an organization, as a staff, and mother-loving crew, let me tell you something. It's not the quarterback, all right? It's not the quarterback. It's the organization as a whole, all right? And no, it missed me with that whole, Bruce Arians. Look, man, it comes a time, all right? It comes a time when, a coach might, link up with a player, and that particular player might make that coach better than what he actually is, all right? So, I mean, we've seen this on so many different occasions, right? When we watch basketball, when we watch football, you get those players that, they're able to overcome even the most mediocre coach. All right. So I just think that Tom Brady was just one of those guys. And not to mention, everybody wanted to go play with Brady. I mean, they weren't trying to break down the door to go play with Jameis Winston and allow him to be their quarterback. So for anybody that believes that Jameis Winston was the main reasons why all those years Tampa was not a successful franchise, then I have to say, man, you're not very smart. I just have to say, do your homework. So they've got a lot of people in the mainstream media who try to push this narrative like, oh, it's all his fault as a player, but it's not. All right. And you have a lot of people that don't give this guy the credit that he deserves, and for going, to a bad spot and actually being able to play, pretty decent for the most part in a struggling franchise. What's good, big homie? Who that, man? What's going on? Appreciate you for being here. What people forget, the Giants were in all of those games. They lost previous to playing the Saints. Yeah, look, the Giants play hard. They play extremely hard, man. And, I know people, they look at the record, but I don't think people just pay attention to the game and see how hard these guys play. I look at like the Detroit Lions. Like the Detroit Lions have not won a game this season, but they play hard every single game. Okay. Sometimes you just are not on the receiving end of a victory. It just works like that sometimes. And sometimes, your record does not, indicate your effort. The Giants are a team that plays extremely hard. Every time you play them, you're going to get their best shot. It don't always equate to a victory, but you're going to know that you played the Giants that day. Let's see. Say, Lord TJ, why would Sean Payton put Taysom to make that throw when Jameis made the touchdown, but was called back because of a penalty? We need to get our penalties under control too, TJ. Yeah, but I look at that. I look at that particular. I look at that particular play, and it made sense. And Sean Payton alluded to this. He was talking about Adam Trautman. Adam Trautman was trying to, guard Leonard Williams. I mean, come on, man. For those that know who Leonard Williams is, that's not a matchup that Adam Trautman actually wants. So, it happens like that sometimes, man. You go up against one of the best pass rushers that the team has to offer. Like you try to do everything that you can to make sure that he don't take Jameis's head off. So for that particular situation, I can understand. But yeah, there are some penalties. But I have to say, man, the penalties that I've seen that last game, a couple of them to me weren't penalties. All right, it was just some nonsensical nonsense that the refs decided to do that day. Hoodie Jube, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says, to be honest, TJ, I think once Thomas comes back, they're going to play up more close to watch him and Kamara, and that's when we're going to hit even more deep balls. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Like when you have man coverage, I'll get back to you, Ross. When you have man coverage, you're going up against a burner like Deontay Harris, you're going zero coverage on that. I'm pretty sure, Jameis is looking for that matchup because he knows that most likely Deontay is going to actually win that matchup. So I definitely agree with you on that. Michael Thomas is going to deserve a double team. You got to respect Alvin Kamara's ability to be extremely elusive. But also you have to account for the fact of Jameis's arm strength. So that's a lot of stuff they have to deal with, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to think about the two, the two safeties or the single high safety that you have out there trying to guard the middle of the field for those deep passes. And, but you also have to think about the fact that, Alvin Kamara and the offensive line can make sure that Alvin gets to that second level, and it's up to him and the linebacker. And if you don't have that safety, like cheating up, then you might end up seeing Alvin Kamara running for 30 or 40 yards. So it's going to be a great advantage for the New Orleans Saints once that happens. I'm looking forward to actually seeing that, but that's a good point, Hoodie Jude. There's going to be a lot of advantages the Saints' way once Michael Thomas comes back. Even if the first couple of weeks until he gets acclimated, he's serving as a decoy, you still have to respect his ability as a wide receiver. Ross says, let's be real. A few of them touchdowns were just thrown up and hope someone would catch them. I mean, look, sometimes it's about being, it's about being lucky sometimes. It's about being lucky sometimes more than just being good. So, yeah, but that's what the wide receivers actually, that's what the wide receivers actually get paid for. They get paid to catch the ball in certain, certain situations. But I just feel like that's not being fair, because if Aaron Rodgers throws a Hail Mary, then Aaron Rodgers is the greatest Hail Mary thrower of all time. If Kyler Murray goes against the Buffalo Bills and he throws the ball down the field and you have DeAndre Hopkins back there and he catches the ball, ain't nobody talking about how lucky that is, right? So I don't think that you have to, the best thing for you to do is putting the ball up to get your receiver a chance, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not always about, he threw it, he threw it to this spot, he threw it to that spot. Sometimes you got to put it in your hands of your playmakers and allow them to make plays. I'll give him a 7 due to some of the decision-making when under pressure. We'll see how he does when he gets Thomas back in the mix. All I'm saying is you can call it 7, Ross. You can say 8, but the dude got 12. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good sometimes. Like you think all the touchdowns that some of these quarterbacks throw on the money. Nah, man, that don't work like that all the time. And and honestly, since Ross has brought this up, and no, I'm not, trying to pick on you, but I am going to say this. I never seen a guy gets critiqued more throwing a football than Jameis Winston has. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous the way that this guy just constantly get critiqued. I don't see other quarterbacks getting critiqued like this, but it's because the narrative in which everybody been talking about, this whole 30 for 30 thing, now all of a sudden, this guy's always constantly getting critiqued, the way he throw the football, the decision of the football. I don't see none of this stuff, okay? When Mac Jones was throwing, passes in the game versus New England, he was just trying to make something happen. Oh, his receivers weren't getting open, so he trying to make some magic. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he throw up a pass. Oh, he making Fitz magic. We come up with all these nice little, pixie dust, little examples of catchphrases to try to validate those guys. But when it comes to Jameis Winston, if he throws a pass up and it's a one-on-one and you giving your wide receiver a chance to catch and his receiver catch it, oh, it was a dangerous pass. Well, a lot of quarterbacks throw dangerous passes, and a lot of quarterbacks have arm arrogance. Like they're so arrogant they think they can throw every pass. The only difference is people have amplified, this narrative about Jameis Winston, and those other quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt. So I'm not going to be one of those people. Every quarterback don't make the right decision. Every quarterback don't make the right throws. And sometimes those wide receivers, just like you can say with Callaway, had bailed out a lot of these quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, oh, he's a gunslinger. Oh, what a play. He's seen him downfield. He's seen it before it happened. Knock it off, man. Okay? I'm not one of those people that just going to sit back here and criticize and analyze every pass that this dude made. Because number one, vicariously and in the back of our mind subconsciously, we're comparing him to Drew Brees for every pass that he throws. So if he overthrows a guy, Drew Brees, we're thinking about Drew Brees and all the passes that he put on the money. If if he throws it and he throws it towards a cornerback, something like that, a cornerback could have had opportunity to pick it off. Then all of a sudden, no, man, he threw too many interceptions. He too much of a risk taker. Man, knock it off, man. I'm not going to critique everything this dude do because every quarterback makes questionable decisions with the ball, and sometimes those wide receivers bail him out. I told everyone about Adebo when we drafted him. He is our starter. Yeah, I think that Paulson Adebo is doing a really good job. Jeezy says, TJ, what's up? You think that we need to bring back Mark Ingram to help Kamara to help take some of the load off of him? That would be nice, but I don't think that the Texans are going to give him up. I think that he's a guy who's a leader in a locker room, and I think he's a fire starter. So I think anybody would love to have Mark Ingram on their team. So I don't see him, coming back to the New Orleans Saints. But I do think that they need somebody that can alleviate some of the pressure up from Alvin Kamara, get some of those touches so you won't run them down to the ground. I agree 100%. Why are we talking about how bad Patrick is playing this year? Yeah, I mean, because, people say that he's giving him the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he got skins on the wall. Man, knock it off, okay? Did he win a Super Bowl? Yes. Did he win MVP? Yes, okay? But last time I checked, in the words of the late, great Nipsey Hussle, last time I checked that, it's not about what you did back then. It's about what you're doing now. I'm not giving nobody the benefit of the doubt because nobody is giving the benefit of the doubt to any other team that has been successful. It's about what you're doing this year. And this year, he's not playing very well. Okay, he's turning the ball over. He's not putting the ball in spots. People talking about he don't look right. All these different excuses. Look, I like Patrick Mahomes. I enjoy watching him play. He's a great thrower of the football. I mean, he's magic in the pocket. Some of the passes that he throw, I mean, I'm like, how in the world he did that? But look, he's not an exception to the rule, and he doesn't get preferential treatment, because, he won a couple Super Bowls. It's about what you're doing right now, all right? And he's not playing well. So I'm not going to say, well, at least he got this Super Bowl. Well, I feel like if you're using that as an example, then we don't need to never talk about a Dallas Cowboy fan ever again. Straight up, because that's what the Cowboys always bring up. They bring up those rusty rings back in 95 every time we talking about them. And we like, well, that happened. We look up, yeah, that's back in the day. Well, if you're using this as an excuse for Patrick Mahomes, then don't ever have a conversation with a Dallas Cowboy fan because you're going to sound like a hypocrite. Man, how many balls were thrown up for Megatron to catch over 4 defenders? Man, it happens all the time. And those plays make highlights. Exactly. Exactly. You got to put it in the hands of your playmakers, right? It's because people believe he was guilty from false allegations in college, and he's a black quarterback coming from FSU. Tampa fan J-Bo will get it done. Look, people make mistakes in life. You know, I like how people just like to bring up people's imperfections. You know what I'm saying? Like to bring up people's shortcomings. But at the end of the day, we all make mistakes in life, and I don't think that a person needs to be constantly reminded of their mistakes in life. Okay. I feel like when we start to bring up people's imperfections and shortcomings, we're saying that that person is incapable of changing the narrative about themselves. And I've said this on several occasions here on the show. I won't want nobody to be digging in the crates and, finding all the skeletons in my closet. Okay. There's a lot of mistakes that we made in our life. And a lot of us, the reason why we're not being scrutinized, because probably when we was making those mistakes, we didn't have social media. We didn't have all these different video cameras and camera phones and all these different things to catch us in our shortcomings. So all of a sudden we tend to forget. We probably get married. We probably end up having kids. We probably end up start paying these bills. But we tend to forget about when we were young and stupid. Okay. And I'm not trying to judge anybody. Okay. I'm not trying to judge anybody because I think that everybody deserves a second chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, now it's up to us to be able to forgive that individual for, and give them a second chance. But at the same time, I feel like everybody deserves a second chance. Because that's just the way that I roll. Okay. I just feel like when you start to hold on to those type of things, shortcomings of individuals, you end up losing, right? Because you end up, holding on to that baggage. You end up holding on to that stuff, and you end up being the person that's hurting at the end of the day. Me personally, I'd rather move forward and give people an opportunity to resurrect themselves. All right. You can say that that's wrong all you want to, but like I said, there's a lot of people out here that's throwing the bricks out here and throwing stones, but living in glass houses. So those are the type of people that I don't, I ain't got no respect for. I'm just being real. I have no respect for individuals that go out here and they know that their stuff is not documented and not put on, CNN, Fox News, ESPN, and all these other places. And now all of a sudden you feel like you got room to talk. I ain't talking about nobody. Hoodie Jupe, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says, to be honest, for us to be first in red zone for offense and defense shows you how good we really are. Team's going to be more scary once everyone returns. I agree, man. You got to look at some of these percentages on a lot of these things, that they're doing. But speaking of which, we got to talk about John Gruden, man. We got to talk about John Gruden, and I'm going to take a few more comments, and then we're going to roll up out of here. So John Gruden ended up resigning as the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm pretty sure some of you already heard about this already. There were some documents that came out back in the cut. First, it was back in 2011 where he made some comments about the president of the NFL Players Association, saying that his lips looked like two Michelin tires, right? So this happened on last week. I want to say it came out maybe last Friday or something like that. And, you had people on TV like Tony Dungy and, you had other people on there, talking about, how good of a person, he is. And Mike Tirico was talking about him from his time working with him on Monday Night Football. But then a couple of days later, found out that he had more emails that came out. And this time he was talking about Michael Sam. Some of you probably already know who Michael Sam is. He was drafted in the 6th round or 7th round, one or the other, by the St. Louis Rams at the time. And he criticized Roger Goodell, called him a word that rhymes with maggot. And he also said that, the NFL should not have forced Jeff Fisher to draft Michael Sam. Right. And of course, these emails, seen the light of day, and it forced John Gruden to retire. Not retire, but resign rather. And his comments, let me see if I can actually find what he said. but he said that I'll just paraphrase here. He said that he don't want his his emails in this situation to be a distraction to the team, and so he decided that he is going to resign. First thing first, I got mixed emotions about this, and I'm just gonna look. The only way I can do is keep it 100. All right. I just wondered to myself. And I'm just being real. All right. When he came out here talking about, I want to say his name is DeMaurice Smith or something like that. I'm pretty sure I'm messing up his name. But anyway, the president of the NFL Players Association, right? When you was talking about him, all of a sudden it just seemed like that situation was going to be swept under the rug. But all of a sudden, he makes the comments about Michael Sam, and the next thing you know, he has to resign. So I'm just wondering to myself, if he would have just made those comments about the guy from the Players Association, would he still have a job today? I mean, I'm just wondering to myself. But look, it's no, I also have mixed emotions about, once again, holding people accountable for stuff they did back in a gap. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those situations where with Kevin Hart, right? So Kevin Hart made some comments 10 years ago, and he was supposed to host the Oscars. And somebody pulled up his old dirty laundry, right? You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, he couldn't host the Oscars. All right. So, I mean, this happened years ago. Honestly, bringing up something I did 10 years ago. I was 25 years old, right? I wasn't married. I didn't have Paxton. You know, I was living in Dallas, Texas. I think I had like a little town home. I used to go to the club every weekend. You know what I'm saying? I used to, be on that hen. I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? I used to enjoy myself and have a good time. And I wasn't making the best decisions in the world. But I'm 35 now. I'm married. I got a son. I got a house. I got bills. You know what I'm saying? I'm a completely different person than I was, right? So I don't feel like people need to be held, responsible and accountable for all those things. You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say this, okay? I can't get down with phony folk now, all right? Now, if you're phony, then I can't roll with you, right? So if you're saying all these things behind closed doors, I don't think I can roll with you, bro. I don't think I can, because you're saying one thing to me. And then, you know what I'm saying? You live in insane because I'm completely different. So if you're saying this about them, what are you thinking about me? So I can understand that. But at the same time, I'm just wondering to myself, should we hold people accountable for things that they did a long time ago? But I have mixed emotions about this. And I still have to say and ask this question. If he would have just made those comments about DeMaurice Smith, would he still have a job today? I mean, I just leave it at that. I mean, y'all feel free to comment on this, but I feel some hypocrisy here. Just like Dave Chappelle said in his comedy. Yeah, look, I think that I have an issue with this whole cancel culture situation here, okay? I don't feel like every situation involves somebody being canceled. I just think that, number one, this whole cancel culture thing, to me, I don't think people even really legitimately care that people are saying these things. I just think that people want to belong to something. They just love to want to be that person that took down this person so they can tell these type of stories. I wonder, do you really actually care about these things? In a couple of weeks, are you actually going to care that this person offended you? Okay? That's what I'm wondering to myself. Are you actually going to care? And then I just think that we get things misconstrued sometimes. And this is a dangerous thing, right? Just because I disagree with you don't mean that I don't like you, right? I don't feel like I got to agree with everything that you actually have to say in order for me to feel that you support me. I've been doing the State of the Saints podcast for 4 seasons now. There are people that have been here from the beginning. There are people that just came on that you know what I'm saying, that there's always commented, that call in, and they'll say, TJ, man, I don't think I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I agree with that, but I don't think that person dislikes me as a person. I just think that we have a difference of opinion. I don't understand why I have to support everything that you say and like everything that you do. If not, then that means that I don't like you. That's what I don't understand. There are some things in life that people are not going to like about you, but that don't mean they don't like you. I say that all the time. If you have a wife, if you have a husband, you're not going to agree with everything that they say or do, but that don't mean you don't love them any less. It's that, you know, you just don't agree with the decision that they made or the thing that they said, but you still love them. So I just don't think that people just need to wrap everything up in this big racist bow and say, this is who you are. No, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely don't feel like people need to start digging in the crates and finding people at their lowest points when they make some boneheaded decisions. Because at the same time, you don't know what a person was going through at that particular time. And in all seriousness, you know what I'm saying? Like, we change. We're different. You know, we change, we different. But if that stuff is in your heart, you know, then I definitely can't roll with you. NFL YouTube channel still pushing the Winston narrative, and they post his 7-yard bomb, and right after the interception is so blatant, they ain't even trying. Well, man, I'm over that stuff right there, man. Look, Jameis Winston is playing really good football right now. He's doing as good as he can possibly do with what he actually has right now, and that's all we can ask of him as fans. James, thank you very much for becoming a supporter. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. I'm gonna take a few more, man. Then I got to get up out of here. Tragic says there's no accountability or consequences when the issue harms or offends the Black community. But let me see. If we tout that LGBTQ is outraged and heads must roll. That's all I'm saying, man. Look, all I'm saying is there should be accountability for everybody. There should be accountability for everybody. If we're gonna play this role, you know, if you saying some stuff that's racist, if you're saying some stuff that's homophobic, then you need to have that same type of energy, right? We need to have the same type of outrage. Because I feel like there's hypocrisy going on. You know what I'm saying? That this head's got to roll when you're talking about this particular group, but it's not rolling for this particular group. And I understand I understand that you don't want to offend anybody, but I just think if we're talking about love, if we're talking about equality, you need to have that same type of outrage for every particular cast or group, period. If you're not, then you're being a hypocrite. Just as simple as that. If somebody, you know what I'm saying, is being racist towards me, you need to have that same type of outrage if a person is being homophobic towards you. And if you're not, then I just think that that's hypocrisy. He coached 80% Black players. Yeah. I mean, that's true, but you don't know what's in a person's heart. You don't. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what's in a person's heart. He was working for ESPN, who worked alongside the NFL. Look, there's a lot of issues going on with the NFL. You got a lot of people talking about season emails and all that kind of stuff there. You know, bro, it's crazy right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, I just have mixed emotions. It's so crazy, man. Like, it's so crazy the direction that we're going down. When you're wrong, you just need to own up to your mistakes and not throw out excuses. Yeah, you know, I feel like this, right? You know, when you make a mistake, you need to own up to your mistake, right? But there's a lot of things that, you know, the mistakes that we made, we probably don't even remember. You probably don't even remember. I was, as a matter of fact, I was with my wife, right? So one time, like, we was actually, you know, we went on a vacation a couple months ago, and I was on Twitter, and I just so happened like to pull up like you know what I'm saying, Twitter. And she like completely like forgot about it. And like I was like reading up like old tweets and stuff like that she had. Now, I wasn't nothing crazy and outrageous or nothing like that, but all she did was just start laughing. She was like, that stuff was just so important to me at that time. Now, my wife is 33 years old, right? And I think she was probably like in her early 20s or something like that, fresh out of nursing school or something like that. So I'm like, she didn't even remember that she had that account. Like, it's an old account that she don't even know the password to anymore. So I'm like, I know that she's not that type of person. You know what I'm saying? She probably don't even care about some of the things that she's talking about anymore. So what I'm saying is there's situations like that, but I have mixed emotions about that because people change. When you're wrong, you just need to own up to your mistakes and not throw out excuses. Let me see. They would have just brushed it under the rug if he didn't. If he didn't do homophobic stuff, shows you that everything can be said about our race unless it's not homophobic. Well, like I said, it shouldn't be hypocrisy going on here. Shouldn't be hypocrisy going on here. It should have the same outrage for everybody, and not even just about I'm serious, man. Any race, because I don't want it just to be like homophobic and black people. I'm talking about anybody. You know what I'm saying? Hispanic folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you see somebody out here, you know what I'm saying, being prejudiced towards Hispanics, prejudiced towards blacks, prejudiced towards, homophobic, you know what I'm saying? People that are, people that are white, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're seeing people being prejudiced, like all this stuff is just, you need to have that same level of outrage. And if you're not, then I feel like that's a problem. Okay. So I just feel like that's hypocrisy. And it also, as a black man, it makes me feel like that I don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you say these derogatory things towards me, saying I got some, some big Michelin tire lips. You know what I'm saying? Like, you say stuff like that's offensive, right? And that's the grounds for you resigning, right? You know what I'm saying? For a resignation or you getting fired. So why it can't be the same type of energy? They was ready to sweep this under the rug. They even got Tony Dungy on TV, and God bless him. I love Tony Dungy, but at the same time, bruh, come on, man. We was ready to go stand in a foxhole for a brother like that, okay? And then you turn around, still gonna end up getting fired. So I don't know, man. You get fired before you have an opportunity to apologize. I guess people look at it like, okay, you want to apologize if we ain't find this out, I guess. But I don't know, man. Hey, I do not have to agree with what you do in your bedroom. In fact, why is a public discussion, love moments and special times is private? I just don't understand the world. Man, I ain't got no problem with anybody. All I'm saying is there's hypocrisy going on when it comes to like some of these issues. It's hypocrisy. And I don't feel bad about saying that. People want to talk louder than one another and try to label me like you don't know me as a person. You don't know me as a person. You don't know what I do. You don't know who I talk to. You don't know who I affiliate with. None of that stuff. But we quick to, oh, you homophobic. Oh, you racist. Oh, you a hater. Oh, you don't know me, man. You don't know me. You don't know me. You see me, behind a camera, you know what I'm saying, and hosting the State of the Saints. You might see me on Twitter, but you don't see how I interact with my kid. You don't see how I interact with my wife. You don't know who I talk to. You know what I'm saying? You don't know none of these things. But we so quick to try to label one another without giving us the opportunity to really find out about each other. And that's a damn shame. He had the arrogance to send those emails to a that he simply don't care who saw it or how they felt about it. I agree with that. Now, his recklessness is one of the main reasons why he ended up getting fired. For you to just feel like you that Teflon. TJ, this wasn't just one email. There were several emails. I look. Like I said before, I want this to be clear. I said, when you do things like this, you know what I'm saying? Like you say stuff like this and you act like one person in front of me and then do something different behind my back, then I don't want nothing to do with you. So him sending these out, Jamaica, is a testament to him being fake. Now it'll be one thing like, okay, one email, you can justify that maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, I just used bad words, or it was just bad choice of words. But when it's like you know what I'm saying, a collage, a manifesto, if you will, then it's an issue. It's an issue. Okay. So that in itself, I can't roll with you because I can't roll with fake folk. Okay. Because I know you're not really sorry. You just sorry you got caught. Right. If you know what I'm saying, if your baby need diapers, right, and you did everything that you could, nobody can give you no money, you go into the store and you take something, right? And it's your first time ever doing that or whatever like that. You know, like I won't say I would look the other way, but I would kind of understand how, you know what I'm saying, what made you come to that point. But if you are constantly stealing, right? You always stealing. And you know what I'm saying? Like you got a record of stealing. It's hard for me to be sympathetic towards you in that particular moment because you're not sorry about this situation, right? The person that probably reached a boiling point, like, I'm really sorry. And they probably really are sorry. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they ain't have no choice. But the people that constantly do these type of things, they're not sorry. They sorry they got caught, all right? And then when you constantly doing it, then you become like arrogant, right? It's almost like, you know, person that like these movies that we watch, you know, you watch these guys rob banks or you watch these guys steal and they never get caught. They get this level of arrogance about themselves. Like, ain't nobody ever going to catch me. Or like, you know, like Leonardo DiCaprio, like catch me if you can. You know, y'all probably seen that movie before, right? You know what I'm saying? He was just doing all these type of reckless things with checks. He felt like nobody was going to be able to catch him. He thought he was so silver tongued. He thought he can talk his way out of any situation. So we become arrogant. And this was one of those situations where a person just became so extremely arrogant, they felt like they were completely Teflon, and it came back and bit them in the behind. Okay? But it is what it is. Final question, statement says, I agree, TJ, great show. Love the fact that you touched on this particular topic. Keyshawn warned us, though. Yeah, Keyshawn warned us. AB looking like a prophet right now. But look, all I can say is, man, it's sad. It's absolutely sad that individuals feel this type of way. Sad that people have these type of things on their heart. And it also is very, very sad that, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on in this country. I'm just dead serious. Like, be mad if you want to. I don't care. There's hypocrisy going on. I want the same energy for every situation. Okay? If we're talking about people being homophobic, being prejudiced, we need to have that same type of energy and outrage for those that are being picked on based on color, sexual orientation. Should always have that same type of outrage. And I just am really ticked off that they were really ready to sweep this under the rug because they got one of the nicest black guys on television in Tony Dungy to speak on John Gruden, and Mike Tirico, who a lot of people respect, speak on John Gruden. Oh, he's such a great guy. They was ready to go and stand the foxhole for him. Then all of a sudden, like, he talks about another particular group, and it's just a deal breaker. But I'm just wondering to myself, if this happened in reverse, would he still be able to get a job? Would he still have his job? Like, if we would have found these emails about Michael Sam the first time, would he have gotten fired right then and there? Well, you know what I'm saying? Because, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't feel like it was what happened with the Morris Smith on top of the Michael Sam situation. No, I just think that there's a certain level of energy for a certain group. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are afraid, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are, you know what I'm saying? People are ready to ride for this group, but they ain't riding for, you know what I'm saying, for everybody. And me personally, as a black man, I have to say I'm absolutely disgusted by that. Seriously, I'm absolutely disgusted. Because I like, honestly, if you're DeMaurice Smith right now, how embarrassed do you feel? You know what I'm saying? How hurt do you feel that your name comes up in a topic of conversation, but they was ready to let this slide underneath the rug? You know, like, that man has value too, right? Imagine this man kids, you right? You know what I'm saying? His kids out here, they talk about your daddy. how this man had to feel. Man got a wife. Man got grandkids. And they up here talking about this man, and they was ready to sweep that under the rug. So I'm just saying, like, where's that man's value? Where's that man's value? And last Saint, he says, a YouTuber says New York Times has more people that are about to expose. I pray to God Sean Payton a part of this. We need him, bro. Well, I hope he's not a part of this because it will make Sean Payton look like the greatest hypocrite in history, especially since he went on a Huddle and Flow podcast and he spoke so candidly about some of these race issues that we have. So I don't think that you'll see Sean Payton's name in that. I pray that you don't see his name in that. But if I was a betting man, I would say that you wouldn't. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate your time. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you for those that checked out the State of the Game podcast. You can check that out. That's available out on YouTube and Facebook as well. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. And I have a favor before I get up out of here. I'm asking everybody that follows me on Twitter. We're doing a contest with the Pigskin Podcast Network, the official home of the State of the Saints podcast. And they're asking viewers and listeners of respected podcasters' podcasts to retweet a DraftKings tweet that I have out there. So I'm asking you, if you have Twitter, go to TJ Jones 8, TJAY Jones 8, and retweet that for me. Okay. So because by retweeting that, if I have more retweets than any other podcaster, then one person is actually going to win a $200 NFLshop.com gift card. So go on Twitter, go ahead and retweet that for me so you can win a chance to win a $200 gift card. So that's all I ask of you. You all take care. Till next time, all I got to say is,